And here we are on day 6, legs again. And for those of you who might have watched the last leg day video I talked about when I said hamstrings are trained first in my program, that's not how it is on this day because of my lower back. I'm not saying that I have any injury, it's just that I have a RDL, which is a Romanian deadlift, and that can be very taxing on my lower back. So it does actually affect my squat if I did that and then went into squats, which is why it is the second movement after squats, so I can still hit these lovely, lovely compound sets right here. And I can still train my hamstrings early on in the workout, and it's just great. And now we move on to RDLs. And you can probably do RDLs with a dumbbell or a barbell. It doesn't really matter, so long as you train them effectively. And here you can see that I just kind of slowly go down and quickly bring it back up, making sure to give myself a little bit of a pause at the bottom. There really isn't any difference between both movements rather than just loading it. I go for dumbbells just because it's a little easier to load, and I do not really feel like putting 3 plates on the bar each time I want to go RDL right after putting and taking off the same weight for my squat. And now we'll go into a Smith machine squat. And yet again, I would like to apologize for this old clip of me squatting. I just do not know what happened to the recent clips that I had. They were just corrupted, and I could not save them in any way. So obviously I do have form critiques about this, but more or less it's the same, which is just making sure that you go slow on the descent with a pause at the bottom. Essentially the same thing as a leg press, except you're standing. And I would avoid doing this with your hips, as I just throw them back, and my butt is the first thing to come up in the squat, which is not only taxing on your lower back, but can lead to injury over time. And these sets are low-key just very poor and kind of low effort, as you can see. I give up really quickly instead of going to failure. And just another small adjustment, I recommend putting something under your heels so it is a more quad-focused or quad-biased movement. Just about same thing with my leg press, but other than that, there's not much to change. And now we move on to hamstring curls. These are really good and fun to do, especially on days where I do a hip hinge movement, such as my RDLs. And I would avoid not having these on the same day when you do your seated hamstring curls, as it is just a tad bit redundant and you probably get better growth from the actual seated hamstring versus doing this on the same day and just breaking down your muscle. And while breaking down muscle is the goal when you're working out, you still want to provide it with stimulus instead of just junk volume. If you could do 1 or 2 sets there, it's probably way more effective than this. And then to finish off my legs, I will go off with quads. These are my favorite movements ever for quads. These are leg extensions. And as you can see, I have very well-defined legs, and I owe it all to this machine. Nothing too crazy to say other than when you are close to failure, instead of just stopping once you can't reach a full rep, you should do some partials. That way they get worked in its shortened position and will just really finish off your legs overall. Come on. Also, having a gym partner that will help you push past your failure is really great too. And then just to finish off my leg day, I will do seated calf raises. I would recommend having both of these on your leg days, not at the same time, but just in different days. Because standing calf raises work the direct outside muscles, while seated calf raises work the muscle that's inside your calf, which you just can't see as well. But doing these seated calf raises will help that muscle be pushed out a little more and give it more of the full look. And standing calf raises will obviously affect how the outside of that muscle looks, so that's why I recommend having them both in your workout. Like I said though, not on the same day, more or less on different days. And that's it. Day 7 is just my rest day, so take those seriously, as overtraining is a thing and you will no longer be able to rebuild the muscles that you broke and just be breaking them more than you are building. So be smart and stay safe.